Have you noticed how some people enter a room and, without saying a word, already dominate the environment? And others speak, talk, and no one takes it seriously? The difference is not always in the content, but in the way they communicate. Words are like swords. They can open doors or build walls around us. Most speak to be heard, few speak to be remembered. Right now, you may be misunderstood, underestimated, or even ignored, not because you have no value, but because you have not yet learned to communicate this value with clarity, authority, and intention. The good news? This can be changed. And you don't need a gift, you need strategy. If you have tired of feeling that you are not taken seriously, or that your ideas do not make the impact they deserve, this video is for you. Let's decode together the 8 most powerful strategies of communication, inspired by the principles of Stoicism, so that you talk less, say more, and achieve respect without screaming for it. Stay until the end, because the last strategy can completely change the way you express yourself in meetings, relationships, and even moments of silence. Because, yes, even silence can be deafening when used well. Words are not just sounds thrown into the wind, they are codes that sculpt the reality around us. Each phrase you pronounce builds or destroys bridges, open or close doors, raise or overthrow perceptions. Anyone who learns to use this tool well gains a silent but powerful advantage. It's not an exaggeration. A word said at the right time can change a lifetime. Remember that time someone believed you just because you said to you are capable. Or, on the contrary, when a misplaced criticism waged you for days. Words have weight, and this weight impacts decisions, relationships, and even how you see yourself. Using them consciously is the first step in taking control of history itself. So instead of talking about autopilot, start choosing your words as if you choose seeds. Each one will generate a fruit. Whether in a casual conversation, an important request, or in a simple compliment, use the intention as a compass. Ask yourself, what do I want to do with what I'm saying? Mastering language is more than knowing how to express yourself, is knowing how to influence, inspire, and even cure what you say. If you want a practical tip, start writing down phrases that have marked you positively. Make it a repertoire of power. Soon you will be transforming realities. Starting with yours. There is a secret behind the people who communicate with impact, and it is not just what they say, but as they say. Effective communication is like a code. When deciphered and applied with intention, it generates immediate respect, increases its influence, and opens paths previously invisible. It's not about talking beautiful, but about speaking with purpose. People who dominate this code do not improvise all the time, they think strategically. They know when to speak, the ideal tone, the correct posture, the exact moment to take a break. Each element has a role. Just like in a chess game, each word is a planned movement. And that completely changes the impact of the message. Want a practical way to start? Before an important conversation, write the 3 main points you want to convey and think, how can I say it clearly, safely, and generate connection? You will see that over time your speech will become more intentional and the most powerful results. With the right code, you are no longer someone who only speaks well to become someone who changes atmospheres. And that, my friend, does not go unnoticed. But beware, the next point will show you that sometimes the most effective communication comes of silence. Silence, when used well, speaks louder than 1,000 words. In a world where everyone wants to be heard all the time, who knows how to be silent conveys rare confidence, almost enigmatic. Strategic silence creates space, generates curiosity, and makes each word dictated then have even more weight. Think about it. How many times have you regretted talking too much? Silence is a powerful pause. He can disarm conflicts, attract attention, and even gain respect. The great leaders and masters of communication know it is not only what is said, but what is chosen not to say that it builds authority. Exercise this in your daily life. When in a discussion, resist the urge to respond immediately. Breathe. Note: choose the right time to speak, and when you do so, be with intention. This silent pause is often worth more than any well-designed argument. Silence is not the absence of communication, it is part of it. Knowing how to shut up at the right time is an art. And who dominates this art begins to influence effortlessly. At the next point, we will explore one of the greatest allies of this impact: clarity. Speaking beautiful is not synonymous with being understood. Sometimes, the more words we use, the less impact we have. Clarity is power. Those who speak accurately convey authority, generate confidence, and facilitate the connection with the listener. After all, it is not about impressing but of real communicating. Clear people avoid rodeos, empty phrases, or unnecessary complications. They choose simple and straightforward words, but loaded with intention. It's like a lighthouse in the fog, it shows the way with sharpness and safety. Who listens, understands. And who understands, connects. Want to apply this in practice? When preparing for a conversation or presentation, ask yourself, if I had to summarize everything in a sentence, what would it be? This forces you to go straight to the point. And a clear message is like an arrow, it doesn't have to be big, just right. And do you know what is curious? Clarity not only helps the other to understand, it helps you get to know yourself better as well. When you organize your ideas to speak accurately, you also organize your mind. And that transforms everything. At the next point, let's talk about something that complements this clarity: the confidence that starts from the inside out. Confidence does not always appear before action. Often, it is precisely the act of positioning itself firmly that makes self-confidence flourish. Yes, you can pretend security at first, and that is not fooling anyone. It is training your body and mind to a new stance before the world. The way you enter a room, how you look into your eyes, how you project your voice, all this communicates something, even before the first word comes out of your mouth. And do you know the most interesting? When you behave like someone confident, the brain begins to believe it. Posture and body language have more impact than you think. Take the test: raised chin, open shoulders, deep breath. That alone changes your energy. And when you speak in this state, your voice comes out firmer, your words have more presence. It is like wearing an invisible armor that protects you from doubt and judgment. It is not about being arrogant, but gradually embodying the safest version of oneself. The confidence you project attracts respect. And respect paves the way to true authority. And speaking of authority, let's see how the right pace of speech can further reinforce this perception. Speaking fast may seem like a sign of intelligence, but it often sounds like anxiety. When you slow down, it conveys mastery of what you are saying. Well-placed breaks create impact, give time to the other, absorb, and turn each word into something more significant. It is not a matter of being monotonous or dragged. It is about rhythm and intention. Have you noticed how big speakers take dramatic breaks before something important? This is no chance. It is technical. And it works. The right break can make the listener lean, pay attention, until he fastened his breath waiting for what comes next. If you want to practice, try recording your speech and hear later. Where can you breathe more? Where can you leave a break before the main idea? At first it may seem strange, but over time you find that less hurry is more presence. Speaking calmly is a sign of who knows what you are doing. And who transmits control generates confidence. This space you create with breaks is not empty, this is where understanding happens. And now that you've learned to make room for the message, let's understand how to make it really connect with whom you are listening to. One of the biggest errors in communication is thinking it is you. But the truth is that the more you focus on the other, the more it opens to hear you. People are not interested in their speech, they want to know how they connect with their lives. Want to be heard? Make the other feel seen. Effective communication is like a mirror, you reflect the reality of those who listen. Use examples of one's daily life, speak their language, bring references that make sense in their universe. This shows respect, empathy, and generates instant identification. When the listener realizes that the message is about it, attention comes naturally. For example, if you are going to present an idea to a team, think about how this idea solves a problem they face. If you are going to talk to someone dear, think about how your words can relieve a pain or reinforce an important value for that person. The message becomes alive when it is personalized. Deep down, we all want to be understood. And who gives us this feeling conquers our confidence. So instead of thinking, what do I mean? Start thinking, how can I serve what I have to say? At the next point, you will see that to do it well, you need to go beyond the words you really have to hear. Listening is a forgotten art. Most people hear just waiting for their turn to speak. But listening for real with presence, attention, and empathy is one of the most powerful ways to communicate. Those who hear in depth understand what is behind the words, and this completely transforms any interaction. Active listening is not just silence. It is receptive body language, attentive look, small signs that you are there, whole. When you listen to someone with real interest, you communicate respect, validation, and opening. And that builds emotional bridges that no rehearsed speech could. Want to practice? Next time you are in a conversation, hold the urge to interrupt. Instead of thinking about what you will answer, focus on understanding. Repeat with your words what the person said to ensure that he captured. Not only does this avoid misunderstandings, but also shows that you really care. In the end, people don't just remember what you said, but how you made them feel. And being heard deeply is one of the most rare and more valuable experiences that someone can have. Now imagine combining this listening with the strength of strategic repetition. Repetition is not redundancy, it is reinforcement. Great communicators know that repeating an idea with intention and rhythm creates impact. When a sentence repeats itself with emphasis and purpose, it is not only understood, it is memorized. And what is memorized has transformation power. Remember historical speeches, striking book phrases, or even songs that have influenced you all have something in common: strategic repetition. I have a dream was said several times by Martin Luther King for a reason. It was not excess. It was wisdom. Repetition creates echo in the listener's mind. You can apply this naturally. When teaching something important, repeat the main point with other words, reinforcing the essence. Use breaks before and after repetition to put weight. So you direct the attention of those who hear exactly where you want. What's more, repeating something with different emotion, once firmly, another with compassion, another with humor, makes the message reach different layers from perception. But it is not enough to repeat by repeating. You need to know who is talking to. And that's what we'll talk about at the next point. Communicating well is not to say what you want, is to say what the other needs to hear the way they can understand. This requires sensitivity, observation, and flexibility. The same message can sound inspiring to one, and arrogant to another. The difference is in the way you deliver. Before you speak, note. Who is this person? How does she think? What are your values, fears, and interests? This gives you valuable clues about the best language, rhythm, and examples to use. When the message is shaped to the receiver, it finds the right way to the heart. And this generates immediate connection. Want a simple example? Try to explain the same concept to a child, an executive, and an artist. The essence will be the same, but the words, the tone, and the examples will change. This is not manipulation, it is communicative empathy. It is talking to each other, not to the other. And the more you practice, the more natural it will become. You will realize that adapting your speech is not getting lost, it is expanding. In the end, effective communication is a dance between intention and perception. And now that you've learned to adjust the rhythm, focus, and form, it's time to invite the listener to take the next step with you. You have come here for a reason. Something within you wants more impact, more clarity, more real connection on your words. And now, you have practical tools in your hands to turn your communication into a powerful bridge between who you are and the world around you. But only knowledge does not change anything. The practice, yes. Imagine if you started applying one of these strategies a week. In a few days, your presence would change. People would start listening to you more carefully. Your words would have more weight. Your conversations would be more respected. Best of all, you would begin to feel more safe when expressing yourself. But this transformation is a process. And like every process, it needs continuity. So if this content made sense to you, if you touched something you already felt but could not name, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here, the journey does not end, it is just beginning. Activate notifications, share this video with someone who needs to learn to express themselves better, and start talking less today, saying more and impacting with purpose today. In the end, the way you communicate determines the way the world responds to you. Now that you know these strategies, stop for a moment and reflect. How has your communication been? Have you used your words as construction instruments, or have left opportunities to escape for lack of intent? The way you communicate can be your biggest differential or your greatest limitation. The challenge you leave you is simple: choose one of these strategies and start practicing it today. It can be slowing down when speaking, listening more carefully, or simply thinking better before expressing yourself. Small changes bring great results when made with consistency and consciousness. What would your life be like if, in a month, people started to hear you more respectfully, to trust you more, and to truly connect with your messages? This is within your reach. You just need to decide to act. If this content helped you, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications to continue this journey of self-knowledge, clarity, and influence. There is a lot of good things coming around and you won't want to lose. We see each other in the next video.